Tensions flared along the India-Pakistan border mere hours after both sides agreed to a ceasefire along the line of control. The agreement, initially seen as a promising step towards peace, proved to be short-lived. Today, the situation remains calm in several parts of Jammu and Kashmir, including Jammu City, Poonch, Rajouri and Aknor. However, Amritsar has been placed under a red alert following heightened security concerns, with district authorities urging residents to stay indoors. 2 Indian Armed Forces personnel, an Indian Force officer and BSF sub-inspector were martyred amid heavy shelling and drone strikes by Pakistani forces in the Jammu region. Sergeant Surinder Kumar Moga, a 36-year-old medical assistant from the IAF's 36 wing, lost his life in a Pakistani strike while deployed in Udhampur, Jammu and Kashmir. BSF sub-inspector Mohammed Imtiaz was killed when his unit came under intense Pakistani firing along the international border in the Araspura sector. According to BSF officials, 8 personnel were injured in the attack. While Imtiaz succumbed to his wounds, the remaining 7 are receiving treatment and are in stable conditions. A soldier was injured in Nagrota, Jammu during an encounter with a suspect spotted near the perimeter of a military station. The White Knights Corps confirmed the incident and stated that the situation is now under control. Let's now look at the international reactions to this ceasefire. US State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce called the India-Pakistan ceasefire a beautiful partnership after US mediation by Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas welcomed the ceasefire, calling it a vital step towards de-escalation. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Yi spoke to India's National Security Advisory Ajit Doval and expressed hope that New Delhi and Islamabad would address their differences through dialogue and achieve a lasting peace. Meanwhile, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer also commented on the ceasefire agreements. This is, of course, a developing situation. We expect more information on the violations reported overnight, of course, amid optimism over a ceasefire, but concern as well, given the reports that we have received overnight. Well, joining us to discuss this in more depth, we start with Daniel Boardman, a senior correspondent for the National Telegraph, who's joining us live from Toronto in Canada. Daniel, thank you ever so much for being here with us. We have just heard there some of the reaction from world leaders, of course optimism, but also realism at play. World leaders, of course, talking about a lasting peace and ceasefire, given that this agreement took place at 5 p.m. yesterday. We of course come in with news of violations. What's your response to that?
Well, I would push back on a wave of realism hitting the world. I think this is a doubling down of fictional realities. Lasting peace between India and Pakistan can be brought by a vague ceasefire over Kashmir when none of the core problems of the issue have been solved. I'll believe it when I see it. Yes, killing is bad, war is bad. I hope no one ever kills anyone. But at the end of the day, you are dealing with the Pakistani military, which by their own actions is in bed with all the terrorist organizations that they either train, fund, all three, control, don't control, sometimes here or there. So you have, again, the ceasefire, which lasted maybe an hour at best until Pakistan started firing. And you have the world claiming victory. The Europeans and the Americans, listen, people love a ceasefire in the West because we get to say some of their favorite words, which is de-escalation, and they get to pretend that they had anything to do with the peace process, and they can just hope that if you hope for peace, the fairies within every soul and human spirit will blossom like flowers in the rain, and we'll all realize that if India and Pakistan just decided to dance instead of kill each other, they'd both be much happier. So why wouldn't they? I don't see that happening. I think the realistic view is whatever was happening between India and Pakistan, you could say, okay, this wasn't an incident to totally push to war, but you had jihadist militants essentially wanting to set dominance over Kashmir, both Islamically and sort of politically, by saying, we ethnically cleanse the Hindus, no more Hindus, not even terrorists, right? This is a targeted attack to, ethnic to complete the ethnic cleansing of Kashmir, right? So is the Indian government's response to that like all out war on Pakistan? And does Pakistan need to cease to exist? That'd be a pretty lofty war aim. But if you can get to a point where if the terrorists who committed the Falcom attack 1 year from now and their supporters look back and say, hey, that actually undermined our position in Kashmir, and now going forward, we're less likely to do more terrorism, then this is a success. But with the ceasefire happening right now, right, anything could happen. I mean, Pakistan. What do you do if Pakistan violates the ceasefire again in a week or so? What if they shoot a bit more missiles just to see what they can get away with? Because now, if they have international leverage and the ability to cry, they might see how much they can get out of that. Right, so you're dealing with a rogue state.
Yes, Daniel,
state.
I'm sorry to cut you off. We do have some information that has come in the last few minutes. Donald Trump has made another post on Truth Social saying, I am very proud of the strong and unwaveringly powerful leadership of India and Pakistan for having the strength, wisdom and fortitude to fully know and understand that it was time to stop the current aggression that could have led to the death and destruction of so many and so much. Millions of good and innocent people could have died. Your legacy is greatly enhanced by your brave actions. I am proud that the USA was able to help you arrive at this historic and heroic decision. While not even discussed, I am going to increase trade substantially with both of these great nations. Additionally, I will work with you both to see if, after 1,000 years, a solution can be arrived at concerning Kashmir. God bless the leadership of India and Pakistan on a job well done. Well, following this tweet that we've received a few minutes ago, Quinton A. Hitchcock, I will come to you next. Thank you for staying with us. Of course, a USA affairs expert from Houston, Texas. This tweet comes at a time of uncertainty, and to be honest, Quinton, I find it quite perplexing. I was in this studio on air last night when the ceasefire violations were being confirmed. Trump's message seems like a one of unity, one of pride over a deal that his country helped to broker, praising both India and Pakistan in equal measures. Given the action that we've seen in the past 12 hours or so, why has Trump taken this stance?
Well, he's taken this stance. I mean, American presidents these days are largely judged with foreign conflicts. And that's part of the reason why our former president, Biden, was so unpopular, is because during his term around the world, there were foreign conflicts and wars breaking out everywhere. So I said last night, and it's not going to change, President Trump doesn't want this headache. He doesn't want conflict between two countries that he considers allies, two countries that have a nuclear arsenal. So he's going to do everything in his power, even if that means rewarding both countries economically, to see an end to this. So not surprising. I think the president will continue to do everything that he can. His administration will do everything that they can to make sure that this does not escalate further. Again, remember, this is a White House that has a very favorable relationship to India and to Pakistan. That being said, and I don't think that anybody from the White House, or frankly anybody from the US government, will ever admit this, but the reality is that the United States is going to be relying on India much more than they are Pakistan. The United States is much more sensitive to terrorist attacks. We've certainly dealt with our fair share here. So I think the president is going to continue this effort with India largely as a favorable country, and I think he's going to want the best outcome for both countries, but specifically for India.
Yes, absolutely. We do have some more breaking information coming in addition to the international reactions that have been made. Turkey has now issued a statement welcoming the India-Pakistan ceasefire declaration. Turkey called on the two countries to engage in direct dialogue, extended appreciation to the US for contributing to the ceasefire as well. Daniel, I will come back to you. Of course, we know that Turkey have been involved in these escalating tensions in one way or another through the use of drones that were fitted with reconnaissance technology. This, of course, during earlier nights in which drones were reported along the line of control and also along the international border. The message is clearly coming in from world leaders that this de-escalation period needs to be followed. What's the wider ramifications on the geopolitical community if this confrontation were to continue in the wake of continued Pakistani provocation?
Yeah, I mean, the greater geopolitical implications is, I mean, it's primarily the fear of Pakistan and India going full-scale nuclear war. I mean, that's what you're dealing with here. In terms of like, global implications, I think, Trump needs a win on something, geopolitically quite badly. So I think he's invested in getting this. Now, I think the ball's now in India's court, right? To see how they play this. Like when the West, I mean, I will push back when anyone can have a good relationship with Pakistan if you're in the West and your relationship is predicated on we give Pakistan money, they say they're going to do one thing, take that money and fund terrorism. And then claim they like us. We don't give, I mean, as Canadians, we don't give Pakistan nearly as much as Americans do, but we give our fair share. We have a gender studies funding program in Pakistan, and I'm sure that is used for certain things. And so what if the world gets a Trump win, then can Trump leverage this in further conflicts to sort of show that, hey, I got my mojo back. I can start to settle some of these scores I've set out. Yeah, I think that benefits Trump. But again, like, what are these powers ultimately, going to do stepping in? That's the question. And India and Pakistan, I think the lesson that they'll learn is you can try and handle your security concerns with Pakistan, but the way India is going to have to do that is by not declaring war, right? We can have special military operations, or there can be a counterterrorism sector here or there, but as long as there's no war or official with the ceasefire, then I think you'll get Trump happy. If Trump's talked about doing great business deals with India, I'm sure you can get a better deal out of Trump. You can leverage this in negotiations on tariffs and other things. But yeah, I mean, the ceasefire, it's a tenuous ceasefire as anything is, because it doesn't solve any of the core issues at the problem, which is the tariff groups in Kashmir and along the border. But again, if India finds a way to deal with that isn't open declaring war, again, they have the restructure of the water treaty, the basically treating any terrorist attack as an excuse to throw away the ceasefire. So there is enough in India's arsenal that if they are still willing to go after the actual threat, which is like terrorism and terrorist training camps on their border, as long as they find a way to do that isn't in full-scale war and doesn't get the international media talking about escalation, de-escalation, and saying all the buzzwords, then I think India kind of has carte blanche to do what they want, because, again, the Trump administration is pretty clear. They don't want to be involved in pretty much anything for too long, and they want quick and easy solutions. So as long as you can present something as a quick and easy problem and there's no excuse for Trump to feel like he needs to get involved, then I don't think he will.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, we had that statement from J.D. Vance a couple of days ago saying that the conflict between India and Pakistan was not American business. So it's interesting to see where these discussions will move forward regarding the United States. We do now bring you some more information, and a crackdown begins on terror in the Kashmir Valley. The state's investigation agency raids are underway in Shopian, Jammu and Kashmir. Raids are linked to terror-related activity. I will just reiterate that information that I have just brought you. A crackdown has begun on terror in the Kashmir Valley. The state is investigating. Agency raids are underway in Shopian, Jammu and Kashmir. Raids linked to terror-related activity. This, of course, after India made a clear policy shift, a clear statement after this ceasefire came into effect, stating that any act of terror would be seen as an act of war. I believe we are now joined by Major General Brajesh Kumar, a former infantry member and a senior defence expert, joining us from Delhi. Major General Kumar, thank you ever so much for being here with us. We've just heard there that operations surrounding terror activity are underway in the Jammu and Kashmir region, given the escalations that we've seen overnight and provocations from Pakistan. What response do you think will be coming if there is terror-related activity ongoing in India this morning?
I think it's too early, because, the fine print of what has been agreed to by the two parties, by the two countries, by the two nation states is not yet ready. However, given the state of preparedness or readiness along the LOC and the international boundary in the state of Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, where most of the trouble goes up, the Indian Army and security forces, all security forces, are ever ready to take any action and any preventive measure should it happen. Second, the government has given them a free hand to deem fit to take actions as deemed fit. That also includes certain amount of offensive action in the local domain. So therefore, let's see what happens. At the tactical and operational level, there are no issues. We have troops, we have security forces, we have the BSF, the paramilitary forces, we have the CRPF, we have the state government police and the plethora of intelligence agencies. It is not an issue. And having gained the moral ascendancy or the offensive spirit in the last 3-4 days that we have seen, our forces are very well prepared to tackle things at the operational level and at the tactical level. Should something be at a higher level, we'll go to see, analyze it, see, and what's the response. Even that, the strategic level, as you would have seen, India has shown its ability to enhance the threshold in the limited manner to strike deeper into the territory of Pakistan, predominantly in the hinterland, whether it is Rahim Yar Khan or Sakkar or Jacobabad or wherever they are. India has also seen it has the capability to penetrate through the air defense shield of the enemy, which has actually been disturbed to quite an extent. So therefore, I do not see any cause of worry or concern. Depending upon the situation, it shall be dealt with at tactical level, at operational level, and of course, at the strategic level.
Yes, absolutely. Just confirming what you can see on your screens right now. Raids are currently being conducted in Kashmir. We have some more information to bring to you now. The Indian Defence Ministry is set to hold a press conference. The conference will give information about the ceasefire and potential violations. It will be held at 11 a.m. Indian Standard Time. Of course, we await that and await further updates on the reports that we received last night into the morning. Of course, an evolving situation that we will continue to bring you updates on throughout the day. Quinton A. Hitchcock, to bring an end to this extended discussion. Amid moments of uncertainty, amid moments of concern, following moments of course, optimism, what is there to be optimistic about, especially in the light of so much global attention on this running conflict and tensions that have been escalating, of course, since that terror attack in Pelham on the 22nd of April?
Well, the biggest source of optimism is that virtually every global leader, everyone in the global community is on the same page that they want a ceasefire to continue. They are against terrorist acts, and they do not want to see a bloody, costly, and a damaging conflict between the two countries. That's the biggest source of optimism. Countries in the West, countries in Europe, countries in the Middle East, nobody wants to see this escalate. My only concern, and I'll make this quick, is China's influence in this. We know that they want more and more of an influence in the Indo-Pacific. It's already been reported that they've been supplying missiles and fighter jets to Pakistan. They've spent billions of dollars of military technology that they're looking to test, and they want to see how this stuff performs. So while that's a big concern of mine, we do have a lot of optimism, and that is the global community wants an end to this once and for all.
Absolutely. Yes, we do bring you some more updates just to paint a picture for you waking up this morning or wherever you are in the world right now. According to sources, Pakistan violated the ceasefire for over 5 hours after the Indian Ministry of External Affairs made their announcement. Pakistan violated the ceasefire from 5 p.m. when the ceasefire was announced to 10:20 p.m. in the night. That, of course, Indian Standard Time. Pakistan targeted forward posts of Indian Army. Also, multiple drones were launched by Pakistan last night for surveillance of Indian Army posts along the line of control. Indian Army retaliated to the Pakistani firing. Also, counter-drone measures were taken. We wait, of course, for this statement and press briefing that we are hoping will come at around 11 o'clock. I want to thank our guests, of course, for joining us during this moment. Thank you very much to Quinton A. Hitchcock, Daniel Boardman, and also Major General Brajesh Kumar for joining us in this, of course, flux state that we are currently in. That is all we have time for now, but we will be back with more of the latest breaking news from India, Pakistan, and the rest of the world.